Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into a war that wasn't fought on some distant battlefield, but inside the online world of Entropia universe. What's fascinating here is we have two completely different sides to this story, one from a very public interview and the other from a leaked private phone call. So let's get into it. This whole thing really begs the question, what happens when a simple rivalry inside a game spills over and becomes a real-world danger? And it all revolves around one player, a guy who goes by the name Enzo. So let's start with the version of the story that Enzo himself puts out there. In an interview, he paints this picture of himself as a really dedicated community builder, the hero who came in to save this failing group of players. And when you look at the timeline, his rise was, incredibly fast. He says he joined this basically dead society, and just through his own hard work, he brought in so many new people that within just 2 months, they voted him in as the new leader. That is a truly meteoric rise. He talks about himself like he's a mentor, right? Someone whose whole mission was to create a wonderful, awesome, friendly environment. In his telling, he's not just playing a game, he's literally building a community from the ground up. But according to Enzo, this perfect little world he was building was about to hit a major roadblock. He claims that one single request from the society's original leader, a player named Namaste, was the thing that triggered a complete and total meltdown. And here it is, the supposed breaking point. Enzo alleges that the leader actually asked him to help scam other players. Now, for a guy who says he's all about helping newcomers, this was a line he just was not going to cross. He flat out said no. So after that big confrontation, the society just completely shattered. Enzo says the most active, the most dedicated members, they didn't even hesitate. They packed their virtual bags and left right alongside him. And the split was just immediate and total. We're talking about one single day. The entire active core of that old community was gone, reformed under his new leadership. It was almost like he ripped the heart right out of the old society and just transplanted it into his new one. But, of course, that's not where the story ends. Enzo alleges that what happened next was a relentless 3-month-long campaign of harassment aimed directly at him and his brand new community. And he lays out this whole laundry list of accusations. He accuses his rivals, Namaste, and another player named Solus, of pretty much everything you can imagine, from in-game stalking and spreading lies, all the way up to threatening actual physical violence and trying to sabotage his in-game businesses. Okay, but just when you think you have a handle on this story, everything is about to change. A leaked audio recording of a private call suddenly surfaced, and it reveals a completely different Enzo. Not a victim, but a man who sounds like he is right on the edge of exploding. Yeah, in this call, that calm, helpful community leader, he is absolutely nowhere to be found. Now, for his part, Enzo claims this audio was recorded without his permission and that it was edited to make him look bad. But let's look at what the transcript reveals. Right from the very start of the call, you can feel the anger. He kicks things off with this chillingly casual statement about his rival's, his physical well-being. And then, boom, he takes it a massive step further. He straight up admits to doxing his rival, claiming he has Solus's personal real-world information plastered all over his wall. This is exactly where the game stops and the very real threats begin. But here's the twist. He doesn't see this as an attack. He actually frames it as a final warning. He justifies these threats by claiming his own family was targeted first, trying to paint himself not as the aggressor but as some kind of protector. And this is where things just get genuinely bizarre. His personal anger completely spills over into these just grandiose claims about his real-world importance. He's suggesting that his little project inside a video game is somehow connected to the literal fate of millions of people. It's a shocking leap, to say the least. So where does that leave us? Well, with two completely contradictory pictures of the exact same person, who seems to be locked in a war that has no end in sight. On the one hand, you've got Enzo, the benevolent leader, the victim of relentless harassment. And on the other, you've got Enzo, the enraged doxer, a guy who talks about his rival not like he's a person, but like he's an obstacle that just needs to be removed. And the result is this incredibly toxic stalemate. Enzo says he feels trapped in this endless cycle of harassment. But at the same time, he's the one who took this fight out of the game and dragged it into a much, much more dangerous real-world arena. You know, a story like this is a really powerful reminder of just how quickly conflicts in the digital world can spiral totally out of control. It forces us to ask a really difficult question. In these virtual worlds that we spend so much time in, where exactly does intense passion end, and where does real-world peril begin? And maybe more importantly, who gets to draw that line?